It is back to reality for PSG today. We are back to Ligue 1 after 2 weeks of playing only in the Champions League with an ultra important game today against Nice in Nice. Lens got the top of the table spot back last night by beating Angers 5-1. So there is no room for error for Paris. We need the win to get back to the top of the table before going on international break. It's a tricky game always between the Champions League and an international break. It's a tricky game to go away in Nice, and so we'll need to be at the top of our game to get a result there. Let's talk about this game for a second. Nice PSG. So on paper, the perfect storm. Really, the kind of game that looks easy. We're playing the 15th in the team out of 18, a team that has been underperforming all season, that changed coach in the middle of the year, and that hasn't been producing much. We need to be careful. We need to be very careful because this Nice team is not. It's not as bad as what the ranking suggests. It's a team that qualified for Europe last season, so finished top of table with still largely the same group of players. It's a team with which is progressing, and I'm quoting Luis Enrique there. Luis Enrique said that in his press conference. This Nice team is progressing and is doing better than it used to with the new coach, with Claude Puel, who's an historical figure of Monaco and of coaching and playing in the south of France. It's doing a little bit better, and their last game they managed to get a win away on the road in Angers 2-0, a pretty comfortable and domineering win. And so we will need to show up. Simple as there's no going back from the playing that we've seen in the Champions League to the lower level of Ligue 1. I think this season, a lot of times we've been guilty of that, managing to really show up and turn in really great performances in the Champions League, but then not backing it up in Ligue 1. Now we're getting to the end of the season. It's go time. There is just no room for error once again, and so we'll need to show up and be at full strength against Nice. And I think if you remember our first game the first game versus Nice this season in the Parc des Princes was probably the worst bus that we've seen this season. This Nice team was ultra defensive in their approach, really came in and parked 10 players in front of their goalkeeper and really did not try or want to do anything other than just try to keep us to a goalless draw. Thank God we didn't manage that. We managed to score. It took us a long time and a lot of effort to crack that block. I think to some extent we need to be ready for a team that's going to be defensively minded, but with a new coach, I'm not expecting as much of a buzz, and also given the fact that they're at home, obviously it's still a game that we want to dominate when it comes to the possession and when it comes to playing our game and having Nice adapt to us rather than the other way around. But yeah, they're gonna be trying a little bit more than they did. They've got nothing to lose at this point anyway. I think they're 15th, so they're not really that far from the relegation zone, but they've got quite a few points in terms of difference. So they're not really, realistically, they're not really in danger of dropping off. 1 point against us, it's not really going to do them a world of difference. I think they're probably hoping somewhere in the back of their head that PSG, fresh off of a big Champions League win, with all of the players traveling with their national teams to the US or North America for friendly games later on in the week, that we're a little bit off focus, that we're not taking it very seriously, and that for them there might be an opportunity. And I think that's exactly what we need to be mindful of. I think in general, it's not really a concern that usually I take a lot from it. I think if there's one thing about Luis Enrique is that he's extremely competitive. That's a reality that no one can argue with. The guy really wants to win everything. And so I have a very hard time believing that he would allow this sort of mentality from his team. And I think even our players, the way our squad has been built and the way like our players are, they hate losing. They want to win. They are very aware of where things stand in Ligue 1. And the fact that they don't have that many jokers remaining, and so I fully expect them to come in and do the job against Nice. In terms of the squad, I think that's where it's going to be a little bit of a question, because I think the question is really like I said, for this one game between Champions League and international break, with almost all of our players having long flights and jet lag ahead of them, is it an opportunity to rotate, and how far do you want to take it? And I think the reality is that because we don't have that much margin in Ligue 1, and because we had a full week off before the Chelsea return game, we can still, I think, start majority or usual starters. And so what I'm hearing, and I think like what I tend to agree with, would be a team with Safonov in goal. Zaire Emery at right back, because Hakimi is suspended for this game, so Hakimi is not going to be there, and so Zaire Emery is going to fold back into right back. Probably play Zabarni instead of Marquinhos, with either probably Pacho, but maybe Beraldo, and Nuno Mendes on the left. Probably plays because he was taken out around the 65th minute against Chelsea. In midfield, we're still missing Fabian Ruiz. We are missing João Neves, who Luis Enrique has said is not injured, but he is getting rested to manage his fitness level. So João Neves is not going to be there. Fabian Ruiz is not going to be there. Warren Zaire-Emery is going to play at right back. So that leaves Vitinha for sure. Mayulu as well probably was going to get the start. But there's a third midfielder spot, which I think is left open. Question mark would be whether it goes for Draw or for Kangin Lee. Personally, I think it's going to go for Draw, who's gotten some game time in Ligue 1 pretty regularly. And I think versus a defensive-minded team like Nice, and even if they can be pretty physical, which is really like Draw's kryptonite at this point, I think his quality of passing and like the differences that he can make in tight spaces, it might be really helpful to have that on the pitch. And so personally, I would say Draw. I think Kangin Lee as well. I know like quite a lot of fans who want to see more of him in midfield, and it's something that comes back before every PSG game. Personally, I'll be honest, like I like him on the right wing, but every time he starts in midfield, I like him in midfield when he plays in Vitinha's position as number 6 and he subs in for Vitinha. Every time he plays as a number 8, I tend to be less impressed with it. And in the end, like Luis Enrique really doesn't play him there that often. Definitely doesn't start him there if he can help it. So I have a hard time believing that's going to change for this game. And then up front, we would have our best front three of the moment. Barcola being, of course, injured after Chelsea. Barcola is going to be missing 3 or 4 weeks. So we probably won't see him until the return against Liverpool, which is really a blow at this point, but it is what it is. And so our front three against Nice would be Kvara on the left, Dembele in the middle, and Doué on the right. And I think, for the next few weeks, there's going to be opportunities for players like Ramos, for players like Kangin Lee, for players like Mbaye, who we haven't seen in a long time, to really get a little bit more game time in Ligue 1 and get a chance to show off and impress a little bit. On the Nice side now, tactically, it's a team that's in flux. And I think Claude Puel, even he came in around Christmas time, so he's been there for nearly 3 months now. So he's not really new anymore, but at the same time, he's been shifting things around, and they've essentially recently moved in the last game actually against Angers from a 4-2-3-1 to a 3-5-2. And the word on the street is that for the game against PSG, they could move to a 3-4-3, which, given the fact that we're going to be in possession, is probably going to shift into a 5-4-1 pretty regularly. And so that team would look like Diouf in goal, Mendy, Dante, and Ba in defense, Klose on the right, Sanson and Boudaoui in the middle, Bard on the left, and then Boudash, Eliwai, and Diop in attack. And yeah, I've got to be honest, like, once again, I'm not really super concerned. I think on paper, like, we've got more than enough talent on the field to make the difference, to get the win, and our players and our team and our coach and our approach, all I think are better. But we shouldn't get complacent because there is still some talent within this Nice team. They do have a coach who has got about like 450 years experience coaching in Ligue 1, who's seen it all. They are at home with a very, very excitable crowd and fans. Yeah, like, if we let it become a perfect storm, it's going to become a perfect storm. If we take it very seriously, and it's the team that played in Chelsea that shows up, that scores a goal early, then we can make this game very easy for ourselves. Hopefully get a chance to rotate some player early on in the game to manage fitness levels. I'll be honest, I'm relatively worried about this international break. Like I said, most of the teams are heading off to North America to do friendly in preparation for the World Cup, kind of get a sense for the US, Mexico, and so on. And so our players, they're going to be traveling across a continent, across an ocean, be facing jet lag, be playing in different conditions. And I think, small details make a big difference, but like typically pitches in the US tend to be a lot heavier than they are in Europe, which is not really great for the ankles and for the knees. So tired players traveling with jet lag, having to go back and forth, like, yeah, I'm really, really, like, I'm going to be burning a candle in a church somewhere, like, hoping there's no injury or no major injuries for our guys. Luis Enrique has actually mentioned it in his press conference. He said, like, he really hopes that because everyone is playing friendly games, the national team coaches will be somewhat generous and, not allow players to play for too much or too long, and kind of rotate their teams a little bit, try different things, and hopefully, like, don't allow our players to just like play twice 90 minutes in a week. We'll have to see. We'll talk more about the international break anyway. For now, like I said, we've got to keep our focus firmly on Nice. In the end, I'll give you my prediction and let me know in the comment what you think and if you agree with me. I think fresh off of the win against Chelsea, PSG is back. PSG is back. I've got a good feeling about this. I really hope I'm right about this because the roller coaster all season is just not good for my morale. But I think PSG is back, and if PSG is back, we're going to be winning 4-0 in Nice, and there's not even going to be a shadow of a doubt. And it's going to happen in literally, we're going to be up 3-0 at halftime. We'll rotate and we'll score another goal somewhere in the second half, just on account of. So that's my prediction for it. Let me know what you think. Do you share my optimism or not? It's back to reality, but you see, my reality is, it's maybe a little bit better than yours. We'll see in the comment. What does your reality look like for this game? What do you expect? Are you worried about this Nice team? Let me all know in the comment, and we can have a discussion about this. In the meantime, as well, if you've made it this far into the video, drop a like, guys. Drop a like. The thumbs up button is right here. Drop a like on the video. Massively helps with referencing on YouTube. So it's really appreciated. Help more PSG fans find the channel and get on the fun. We're turning the corner of 600 subscribers as well. So thanks to every one of you who subscribed. If you haven't yet, man, you could be the 600th, which I'm going to keep an eye on. So come on, go and hit the button. If we're already passed, still hit the button because every one of them counts. And hit the bell as well to get notified of future videos. And don't forget, in Nice and in reality, ici c'est Paris!